Hi everybody. Sorry I'm not able to be here today. I'm actually attending a conference in Seattle. So this lesson video replaces me teaching lesson 5-3. Today we're going to be solving systems of linear equations by elimination. So the very first question I want to ask you is, what does it mean to eliminate something? Well, if you understand what it means to eliminate means to, take away or do away with something. Take away or do away. You get rid of. So you get rid of something. So that's what we're going to be doing today, is we're going to get rid of something in our equation in order for us to be able to solve. So remember, in lesson 1 we graphed. We were looking for points of intersection. So again, if I have a point of intersection, this is my solution of x comma y. When I substituted, if I know that y is equal to 3 and I have y is equal to 2x plus 10, well, I know that y is 3 right there, so I could substitute in and put a 3 in every place I see a y and then solve for the x. And at the end of the day, I'm going to get an x value and a y value in my ordered pairs. That's what we did yesterday for our substitution. And now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be solving by eliminating, meaning we're going to take away or get rid of one of the variables, and then we're going to replace it with something with a value, and then we're going to get the other variable. So let's take a look at our two objectives today. Students are going to be able to solve a system of linear equations by elimination. We're also going to be looking at a real-life application problem. Like I said, in systems of equations, we see lots of real-life problems that kind of pertain to what we see on a day-to-day basis. So let's go ahead and get started. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the core concept for solving a linear system by elimination, is that we are going to be looking to try to eliminate something. Eliminate, what is that something? Eliminate a variable. So that's the whole idea. And we can do it either by looking at whether I have a plus minus situation, because obviously if I have plus 3 and I take away 3, that gets eliminated to nothing. Or I'm going to be looking at multiplying if I need to in order to make equations fit. And what I mean by that is I'm going to be looking to eliminate something. So then what I do is I solve and then I substitute. So let's go ahead and look at the very first example. So in this very first example, we're supposed to solve this linear system by eliminating. So take a look. I have 3x plus 2y is equal to 4, and I've got 3x minus 2y is equal to negative 4. So again, these are my two equations, and so I want you to kind of look at, what do you notice about the equations? What do you notice about the coefficients? Please remember that the coefficient is sitting in front of the variable. So what do we notice? So I notice that I've got 3x and 3x. Well, and then here I've got plus 2y and minus 2y. So, right there, if I have 2y and I take 2y away, do I not eliminate that? Of course I do. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to rewrite the equation right here. So I'm going to write 3x plus 2y is equal to 4. And then I'm going to go 3x minus 2y is equal to negative 4. I'm going to draw a line because I'm supposed to add the equations down. So when I add 3x and 3 more x, I get 6x. And if I have positive 2y and I take 2y away, that becomes 0. I'm going to bring down my equal sign. If I have 4 and I take 4 away, I get 0. So now it says I need to solve for x. So I'm going to go ahead and solve for x. 6x is equal to 0. Solving for x, therefore x is equal to 0. So I have a value of x. Remember, at the end of the day, an ordered pair x comma y is my solution. So I'm going to go ahead, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute into one of these equations. It doesn't matter which one. And I'm going to solve for y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the first equation of 3x plus 2y is equal to 4. I'm going to substitute in a 0 in for x, which means I've got 3 times 0 plus 2 times y is equal to 4. Continue to solve for y. I know that this is 0, so I have 2y is equal to 4. Therefore, y is equal to 2. So I have y is equal to 2. I also have x is equal to 0. So now I'm able to write my solution as an ordered pair of 0, 2. Now, like good mathematicians, I should go in and I should double check my work. So I usually draw a little box over here, and you're going to see that me checking my work. I'm going to put in x for 0 and 2 for y. So I'm going to go 3 times 0 plus 2 times 2 is equal to 4. And this is definitely 4 is equal to 4. Check. And the second one is 3 times 0 minus 2 times 2. And that is equal to negative 4, and that is definitely negative 4 is equal to negative 4. Check. So I know my solution of 0, 2 is the solution to my system of equations. Moving on to the next page, we're on page 15. I'm going to go ahead and turn the page and now look at example 2. So I'm going to blow this up just a little bit to make it a little bit easier to read. And you're going to see that I've got 10x plus 3y is equal to 1, and that negative 5x minus 6y is equal to 23. So think about what we did on the previous page. Remember, I was saying, oh, what do you notice about each equation and about the coefficient? And remember, we found a 0 there. Well, let's do the same thing here. So I've got 10x, 3y is equal to 1, minus 5x minus 6y is equal to 23. There is nothing that I can easily simplify or get rid of. So now what does that mean? Now what I need to do is I've got to figure out what is it that I can multiply something by in order to eliminate. Well, let's take a look. What would happen if I were to multiply that second equation by negative 2? If I did that, right, what would happen? Well, let's do that. And let's just verbalize it. I've got negative 10x, and when I multiply negative 2 times negative 5, I get positive 10x. And isn't negative 10x plus 10x 0? Absolutely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. Notice what I've done is I'm going to multiply the entire equation. We need to remember to multiply every term by negative 2. So let's go ahead and do it. I always rewrite everything because I don't want to skip steps or forget about steps that I need to do. Is equal to 1. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to multiply negative 2 times negative 5x, which is going to give me 10x. Then I'm going to multiply negative 2 times negative 6y, and I get plus 12y is equal to, and then I'm going to multiply negative 2 times positive 23, which is going to give me negative 46. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add down. when I add down, negative 10 plus 10 goes away, and I'm left with, and I'm going to actually write it down here, I've got 15y is equal to, and 1 minus 46 is minus 45. I'm going to solve for y by dividing both sides by 15. And when I do that, what do I get? I get that y is equal to negative 3. Because negative 45 divided by 15 is equal to negative 3. So now I've got 1/2 of my ordered pair. So over here, I know that 1/2 is negative 3. Well, if I know what y is, I could substitute negative 3 in for y and solve for x. So I'm going to go back to my original equation. In fact, I'm going to choose the top equation, and I'm going to write, substitute in negative 3 for y, each for that right there. I'm going to substitute, because we know that y is equal to negative 3. So I'm going to go negative 10 x plus 3 times negative 3 is equal to 1. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my math. I get negative 10x. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9 is equal to 1. I'm going to add 9 to both sides because I'm solving for x. I get negative 10x is equal to 10. I'm now going to solve for x by dividing both sides by negative 10, which means x is equal to negative 1. So now I have to state, there's the second half of my ordered pair, negative 1. So now I'm going to go down here and I'm going to state the solution as an ordered pair again, negative 1 comma negative 3. And the last thing we have to do, we must check our work. So I'm going to substitute, I'm going to go back to both equations right there, and I'm going to substitute in negative 1 for x and negative 3 for y. So I'm going to write negative 10 times negative 1 plus 3 times negative 3, and that should equal 1. Well, this is 10 minus 9 is equal to 1. Definitely, that is true. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the second one. I'm going to write negative 5 times negative 1 minus 6 times negative 3, and that's equal to 23. So negative 5 times negative 1 is 5. Negative 6 times negative 3 is positive 18. And 5 and 18 is definitely equal to 23. So I know that my solution of negative 1 comma negative 3 works. So now what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to go ahead and do this practice number 1, number 2, and number 3. And please make sure that you solve the system by eliminating. You can use the steps in either example 1 or 2 to guide you. And I want you to pay close attention to variables and coefficients, and what can I do to eliminate variables. So you can see that I've gone ahead and done the practice monitoring progress. And the most important thing is I really want you to check your solution. What I did down here was I did not. So you need to make sure it works. So on the first one, you could see that I noticed that I had 3x and I took 3x away, which made it really nice and easy for me to eliminate the x's. And then all I did was add down, and I got that y is equal to 2. So then I went ahead and substituted y back into one of those equations. I actually chose the first one, and then I solved for x. So my ordered pair was 1 comma 2. For the second problem, you're going to notice up here that I noticed that I had a minus 3y and a plus y. So I noticed I wanted to take advantage of that. So what I did was I multiplied the bottom equation by 3, which gave me that perfect negative 3 plus 3y enabled for me to be able to eliminate them, and then all I did was add down. So I got 10x is equal to 60, therefore x is equal to 6. Then I went back in and I substituted the x value of 6, and I got that the y value was negative 6. So hopefully that worked out for you as well. And the last one, this is what I chose to do. There was a couple of different ways you could have done this. What I chose to do is I chose to multiply the bottom equation by negative 4. You could have multiplied the top by negative 4. It would have eliminated the x. In this case, I eliminated the y. And I came all the way down and I got that x was equal to positive 2. Then I solved using that value of x, and I got that y is equal to 5, and my ordered pair was 2, 5. So I'm hoping that you were successful in doing those practice monitoring progress problems. If you didn't, please make a note, and you can ask me about it on Monday when I see you. The last thing that we're going to do is, because I'm not going to, well, just to step back a minute, I'm not going to be back in the classroom until Monday. So hopefully, again, your homework is going to give you enough exposure and practice. Again, always go back and look at both of these examples, example 1 and example 2, how I eliminated the variables from the equation. The last problem that we're going to do, So I was just looking at your note packet, and I noticed that page 17 stops right down here, and then it skips to page 20. So the only last thing that we were going to do was solving a real life problem. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that on this video. And now what I'd like you to do is make sure that you have your homework for tonight. If the substitute hasn't passed it out, you need to make sure that you get lesson 5-3, the practice, and the spiral review. So there are 2 sheets of paper here, and I want to make sure that you get both. So you're going to do the 5-3, which is the blue, the homework extra practice. There's lots of practice problems on this page. What I'd like to make sure is that you go through, and you can see there are like 16. Let's see, I've got 6, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 12 problems here, and I want to make sure that you do the right ones. So on this blue sheet, what I'd like you to do is the extra practice on the front, do only the odd numbers on the front page, and on the back, so you're going to only do the odds on the front, so you're going to do 1, 3, and 5 on the first page, and then on the back page, you're only going to do number 8 and number 15. Okay, so on the only odds on the front, and on the back, you're going to make sure that you do number 8 and number 15. And that's on the blue sheet. So make sure you note that. Make sure that you get a lesson 5-3 homework extra practice. And you may start this homework in class to make sure that you understand it and that you get it. Okay, and I will post the answers to this on the Canvas calendar so you can check your answers. The second problem or page or worksheet is going to be lesson 5-3. This is going to be a spiral review and homework practice. And what I'd like you to do on this page, this is a spiral review all the way from lesson 5-1. So most definitely do number 1, number 2. So number 1, number 2, and number 3. Those are review. And then in lesson 5-2 right here, I'd like you to do number 1 and number 2. So most definitely, again, this is a review. And then on the back page, I would like you to do the following problems. You don't have to do all of these. So this is going to be by elimination. So most definitely I would like you to do number 1 and number 3. And the last problem would be number 5. So 1, 3, 5. And then you can do number 7 and number 9. So again, you have lots of ways to practice. So again, on the back page, you've got 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So back page, I'm going to write this right here. Back would be 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. And on the front, make sure you do all of the problems. All right, so tomorrow, depending on what the timing is, I mean, you should be done with the videos in ample time in order for you to get your homework done. If you finish the homework in the 90-minute period of time, I do know that you have got a quiz on Friday for sure. And I'll do a quick lesson 5-4, which will always also be a video. It'll be posted ahead of time, so if you'd like to go ahead and look at it ahead of time, you can do that as part of your homework or finish this up. And again, tomorrow we'll be doing lesson 5-4. And knowing that I missed some pages, I'm going to have to make copies of page 19, definitely, so that way you have it. Okay? I'll see you guys all on Monday. I hope you have a good rest of the day. And Friday you'll have a lesson, and then I'll be back in the classroom on Monday.